Hey y'all, welcome to the Honesty Circle, the safe space to discuss growing in adulthood, mental health, faith, and all the things in between. It's your host, Sierra Elise, and I hope you're taking care of not only your mental and spiritual, but your emotional and physical health so you can be your best self this week. Today in the Honesty Circle, we will be talking about strengthening the relationship with yourself. Relationships are important, and one of the most important relationships is the relationship with yourself. The relationship with yourself is very important because it sets the tone for other relationships in your life. We all know that relationships take work, and so why wouldn't the one with yourself also take work? It's so important that the good relationship with yourself goes beyond just being confident. Do you trust yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? Do you accept your emotions? Something that I often think about is if I were to talk, if someone were to talk to me the way that I talk to myself, would I be their friend? Would I genuinely want to continue that relationship? Think about it, truly. Think about it. Because we know there's that many of us struggle with negative self-talk. Like, something goes bad, the guilt, the shame, the negative thoughts that run through your mind when mistakes happen or just on the day-to-day. And so how hard you are on yourself, if someone was that hard on you, would you continue that relationship? And sometimes the answer might be no. And if the answer is no, number one, like that's okay. But we want to work so that way we can make that answer a yes. And please know that if the answer is no, that you're not a bad person. This is just a reminder because we can be more conscious in how we treat the relationship that we have with ourselves. So this is what more it's about. This is not about belittling you. This is not about shaming. This is not about making you feel bad of things that you're not doing. This is to bring awareness so that way we are all on the same page of being very intentional in how we are treating ourselves on a day-to-day basis. Because like I said, how you treat yourself is such, it sets a standard for how you're going to allow other people to treat you, right? And that's not just romantic relationships, that's friendships, that's familial relationships, that's every relationship that coworkers. And so we want to be so intentional and that we're pouring into the relationship and we're pouring into ourselves. So that way it just sets the standard and the tone for anything else. Because if you treat yourself the best, why would you accept anything less from someone else? And so this allows us to raise that bar and that threshold of what we accept from other people. So why is this very important? So why is the relationship with yourself important? This is not to boast. This is not to be selfish. The relationship with yourself is very important for so many reasons. Because it allows you to, number one, show up as your most authentic self. In so many areas of your life. This allows you to be confident. This allows you to trust yourself. And also having a good relationship with yourself allows you to reach your full potential. Like I said, like show up as your best self, and then also reach your full potential. And because you are caring for the person that's going to have to give so much, right? Like we give so much in life to other people. And so if you're not giving to yourself, then you're pouring from an empty cup. And also because you're deserving of love and compassion and care. And if you want those things, it starts with you. You don't have to wait to get care from someone else. You don't have to wait to get compassion from somewhere else. You can start giving yourself those needs. Another thing why this is important is because we can't trust others if we are not treating ourselves right. Because and I say that because it's hard to know if someone else is going to care for my feelings if I don't care for my own feelings. It's hard to know if someone's truly pouring into me and trust that what they're doing is with the best intentions, and if I don't have a good relationship with myself. Also, how do I expect someone else to validate and honor my feelings if I'm not even honoring my own feelings? Right? Like you have to set the tone, and that's why I say this is so important, because it allows you to know what you are going to require and expect of other people, especially people that you are intentional in building and having a relationship with. And we want to make sure that you're treating yourself with kindness and grace. Like I said, like you're deserving of that. And think about how you criticize yourself. Take a moment Think about it. How do you criticize yourself? When you do something wrong at work, at school, you don't get a question right, don't do well on a test. How are you criticizing yourself? How are you talking to yourself in those moments? Another question, how are you caring for your own needs? Right? In that moment when you're needing love, or if your anxiety is high and you're needing affirmation, if you're needing anything that you're needing, how are you meeting those? How are you being intentional in meeting those and not waiting for someone else to meet those things? Something to think about. And so I want to be very intentional. And so I'm not just going to tell you to have a good relationship with yourself without it kind of giving some framework on working on how we can do that. So I have a list of a few things, and obviously this goes outside of what I'm saying, because it's also very intentional into what you might be struggling with and how you treat yourself, and like what your baseline of it is right now. So these are just a few things that you can start thinking about that are kind of give concrete examples as to how you can start strengthening relationship with yourself. So one, I want you to watch your words and what you're speaking of yourself. Be very intentional in that. If you make a mistake or you do something like that, what are you saying? Are you saying like, oh, I'm so dumb. That was trash, or I'm trash. Or anything that's like negative. We want to be very intentional in trying to not let that be the norm, not letting the negative self-talk be the norm, because that is how you treat yourself, right? Like, you want someone else talking to you like that, so why are you talking to yourself like that? Period. Another one. So, are you spending time doing things that you enjoy? And sometimes that's hard, because it's hard to know what you enjoy when a lot of times you're always doing what other people enjoy. So, take some time to figure out what you enjoy, not what you enjoy with other people, not what you enjoy because someone else told you so, but what you genuinely enjoy when no one else is around. What would you want to do? And do those things. Spend time doing it. It doesn't matter what other people think about it, because it's for you. It's not for the other person. So find what you like, what you enjoy, and then make sure you're spending time doing that. Another one is making sure you're meeting your needs. And that starts with your basic needs, y'all. I've realized that, something I sometimes struggle with, like, if you get busy, making sure you're drinking water, making sure you're moving your body, making sure you're eating. It might sound so small, but that's also how you're treating yourself there. If you had a child, you wouldn't let them go hungry if you had the means to, provide for them. So if you have the means to provide yourself a meal and drinking water and moving your body, why are we not doing that? That's basic needs that you need to be very intentional in making sure that you are providing for yourself every single day. And there might be needs outside of that. But if you don't start with those basic needs, y'all, I know people in my life that don't drink water on a regular basis, or that are not eating on a consistent basis either. So we have to be, and like I said, I struggle with these things too. Like, there's some days when I'm super busy at work and I'm like, oh shoot, it's 5:00, I'm leaving and I haven't eaten lunch. And I'm not saying that's good. I try my best to not let that be the norm. And I've been very intentional this summer to making sure that I've developed that habit of stopping work and eating lunch. But sometimes it just takes work, y'all. So we have to make sure that we are meeting those basic needs. So that way, when the needs get more difficult on the emotional level, that you are trusting yourself to be able to give yourself those needs. And speaking of trust is a big one, y'all. If you can't trust yourself with the small things, you won't trust yourself when it comes to your intuition about somebody, or I don't have a good feeling about this, but you're gonna go with it anyways because you're not trusting that feeling within yourself. So it starts really, and I think that's one of the hard things to make practical, because it's like, okay, you're telling me to trust myself, but how am I supposed to do that? I have no idea. I can't just say, oh, I trust you. And I didn't trust you for the past, 20 years. And so now I'm supposed to just immediately trust myself. And I think another thing too, when entering adulthood, trusting yourself is a new area, I think sometimes. Because if you think about it, a lot of the times we have been relying on our parents to feed us, and are relying on our parents to making sure that certain needs were met. And so when now it's on you, we have to be very intentional in that we are building that trust and providing those needs. But anyways, back to what does trusting yourself practically look like? One, we want to make sure that we're very intentional in acknowledging our feelings when we feel those, and also validating them. We oftentimes can be so invalidating to ourselves, y'all, more than what other people can be for us. We have to be so intentional in that. If you're feeling sad, like, it's okay to sit in that sadness. And I'm not saying to wallow in it, right? And drag it out. But when those feelings come up, what am I feeling? Okay. And if I'm feeling lonely or neglected or sad or happy or whatever it is, like, when those feelings and emotions arise, especially the ones when it feels that you're in a deficit. So I think like sadness, loneliness, those come from like deficits. Something that my mom always used to tell, or that she constantly tells me, is, what are you needing? Like, when my anxiety is high, she's like, okay, what need is unmet right now that you can feel yourself? And when she tells me that, y'all, it is a big like shock and a snap, but like a slap, like, girl, why are we waiting for someone else to meet those needs? Like, you need to meet your own needs. Like, we can't continue to rely on your other people, whether that's friends or a like romantic relationship or familiar. Like I said, like, you need to make sure that you're meeting those needs. So make sure you validate your feelings, and then also holding space for you to feel those feelings. I think sometimes we think that the feelings that we feel are bad, and feeling sad and feeling, whatever, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's okay to sit with them and feel them and hold space for them, but also not allowing them to overtake and to like spread to other people. So hold space for your own feelings. Another one is to keep small promises for yourself. Keep small promises for yourself. Think about this. If someone were to say like, oh, like if, for me, I know that I get quite disappointed if someone's like, oh, we have this planned or something like this is going to come up, and then we don't do it and it's canceled with no attempt to try to reschedule. I know I feel very disappointed. How do you feel about that? Like, if someone genuinely were like, okay, like, let's have this plan, and maybe it's a date, maybe it's a friend date, like they have it and they plan it, and they're just like, oh no, it's not going to happen anymore, with no intention of like, okay, we can do it tomorrow, or explanation as to what came up. Nothing. You would probably feel slightly disappointed or very disappointed. So that's similar how it works when we tell ourselves we're going to do things and we don't follow through with them. The small promises to yourself of like making a to-do list. I've sometimes realized that my to-dos can get out of hand and don't seem very practical, and I'll just put things up there that I'm like, there's no way that's going to get done in this time. And so it's not that to watch my to-do list and how I can be intentional of, and that's a small thing, but I think even with a to-do list, that's making small promises to yourself of like saying I'm going to do something, and I'm not going to do it, or like saying I'm going to work out and I'm not going to do it, and then never putting a timeline or putting a date on it. And so like when you're making to-do lists or you're making promises to yourself and you're saying like, this is something I want to incorporate new in my life, make sure that you're very intentional in setting like the parameters. So like setting a day, a time that is going to happen, so that way you're able to follow through. And when those small things happen, like when you set those small intentions and you follow through with them and they come up and it happens, that's such a good win, a small win for you, and building that trust with yourself. And then it goes to continue to build with bigger things. So like, say if you just don't have a right feeling about something, you're able to trust that feeling when it comes up, because you are able to trust yourself in the small things. Okay. So my last one, like I said, it goes beyond this, but this is kind of what came to my mind when I think about it and things that I've intentionally done to build my relationship with myself. Another one I think is really important is knowing your capacity for the day. I think that also allows you to keep those promises to yourself. So if I know that I stayed up till 1 a.m. doing whatever I had to do, right? Like, not work, but like say I was watching TV, or say that I was cleaning, or say I was doing whatever, and I wake up the next day with all the intention of trying to wake up at 5 to work out. For me, that's not going to happen, because Sierra needs her hours of sleep. Sierra needs at least 7 hours of sleep. So for me, the capacity for that day would to be get your sleep so you can be well rested. Okay. And maybe the capacity will come later of being able to fit a workout in when I come home from work or whatever that might be. So knowing your capacity, and I know that this is something that me and my coworkers joke about, but like, maybe today I only have 80%. Like if my tank, out of my 100% tank, I only got 80. And you know what? I'm going to give that 80. And so that day looks like I'm giving my 100, really. Like if I gave all of my 80, then I gave my all, period. But I think you need to know what your capacity is so that we're, one, not overworking ourselves. Two, we are holding our promises to ourselves. And it just allows us to, that's another level of, another way to build trust. Like when you know your capacity, you're listening to your capacity and you follow through with that capacity. So there's just some things also to remember when you're building this relationship with yourself, that prioritizing yourself is not selfish. Making sure that you're pouring and filling up your tank is not selfish. Making sure that you are holding space for your feelings if no one else in this world does, that is not selfish. Make sure that you are doing those things because we want to have a good relationship with yourself. We want to set the tone for other relationships. Whether you are seeking in a relationship, a romantic relationship, or you're seeking a romantic relationship, or you're trying to be set the standard for how people in your life are now treating you. It starts with yourself. And so we just got to be very intentional about that. And then also like remember too that with holding space and building this relationship with yourself, that a healthy relationship with yourself starts with care, but also has accountability. Woo-woo, accountability. That's a big one. Because it's also intentional to hold yourself accountable of your shortcomings. But the important part about that is that making sure that you're holding yourself accountable does not mean that I am bashing myself or that I'm talking down on myself or that that negative self-talk becomes to come up, because that can happen. But it's just about holding yourself accountable and making sure that you're acknowledging where you're falling short, but then not beating yourself up for those mistakes. So that's very, very, very important to not beat yourself up for those mistakes, but also hold yourself accountable. And then also too, like I said in the beginning of the episode, like if you feel that you don't have the best relationship with yourself, please don't beat yourself up. This is like, if you beat yourself up about this, like you're doing complete opposite of what this episode is supposed to do. This episode is supposed to call attention and make you aware of areas in which you can grow in. And so you have to be very intentional in making sure that you're not beating yourself up and think that you might be falling short. This is just a way to continue just to build that relationship with yourself and be kind to yourself and let those small wins add up. And lastly, believe in yourself. You can do this. Like, you can show up for yourself. You can give yourself love. I believe in you. Like, I know that if you're listening to this episode, that means you want to build that relationship with yourself. And so believe in yourself and know that you can do it. And don't think that you have to bite the whole piece of the cake at one time, right? Like, take it in small chunks, cut the pieces up, slice it up. Don't try to, immediately do everything at the exact same time, because you don't want to burn yourself out either of all these new things that you're trying to incorporate into your life. So just remember that hold grace for yourself. Give yourself grace. Like I say every single episode, give yourself grace to make mistakes and to get better, and while you're strengthening your relationship with yourself. So that's it for this week's episode. C's 2 cents for this week is to set a small intention for yourself, small attainable goal each and every day this week. This will help you build trust with yourself. For me, I know that mine is going to be that I'm going to be very intentional and cleaning small parts of my house every single day. So that way by the end of the week, hopefully I have a clean space. And it also I don't take the entire day to do that. And for you, that could look like drinking more water. Maybe it's eating regularly. Maybe that's something else that you've been pushing back in your life. So we want to make small wins this week. And so let's make these small wins. You can take my advice or not. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you guys so much for joining the Honesty Circle this week. If you liked anything that you heard, please be sure to share with a friend, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram at the Honesty Circle with an _ at the end to stay updated on Circle news. Thanks y'all so much for listening, and go conquer your week.